High German, and all the TV is High German and all of this. So the brain is already used to that there's different languages when you're very, very small. So, and also the Dutch, I think it's a little bit the same also, because you have different languages also in, you know, Flemish and all this, and not many people speak it. So you're forced to learn other languages, whether you want or not. And so if you look the difference between the French-speaking Swiss people, their French is the same as the French. So they have problems then afterwards learning German or Italian, whereas the Swiss German, it's very easy for them to learn new languages when they are young. So there we can see that, you know, the learning languages at the young age has really a lot of benefit. So that was it. And so yeah, so it's got quite good words. Like the word delusion, which in German is Verblendung, means you are blinded. You're not blind, but you see something, but you don't see it clearly. You're verblendet. So it's very good. Or passion, you know, Leidenschaft, that which creates suffering. You know, when you said, my passion is, meine Leidenschaft ist, then you say, you know, Leidenschaft, that which creates suffering. And so because we are with jealousy also, there's this very nice saying in German, Eifersucht ist eine Leidenschaft, die mit Eifer sucht, was Leiden schafft. So it's a bit complicated to translate. So jealousy is a passion, but it's all the same words. You see, it's a worker. So jealousy is a passion that passionately is looking for things that makes you suffer.
I can tell you a joke.
Okay, Valda, tell us the joke.
When I studied German, I studied for 2 months in Berlin.
Right.
And we had an unseen passage to write. And in the middle of the unseen passage, the teacher says, Ausrufzeichen.
Right.
What do you think I did? I opened the Ausrufzeichen.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exclamation mark. Yeah, right. So it's like, you know, what to do. Okay. Tom, did you already say your bit? Tommy, hello, because I have 2 moderators today. How wonderful. Thank you so much.
I'm going undercover.
Yeah, okay. You can hide behind your own picture. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Tom, did you say hello?
No, I just say that welcome to everyone and welcome back. And thank you, Anila, for teaching us about the Bodhisattva's way of life from Shanti Deva's on the chapter on patience. And I just sent via the chat all the information about Dana and how to contact me in case there is any problem or ideas or suggestions. Please do not hesitate to contact me. And let's begin.
Yeah, that's very nice what Tom just said. You know, if you have problems, then I don't know. But if you have ideas, if you have suggestions how we could maybe make this more interesting for you, or, you know, whether if you want to have something changed or whether you want to contribute more, it's fine with me. Just, you know, because it is supposed to be, no, it's not supposed to be. I would like this to be a kind of, not a class, but something that is alive and where people participate and that we share, because sharing is so important. I don't see myself as a teacher, actually. I more see myself, you know, as a facilitator. And it's also nice, it's not, you are not the sage on the stage, but you are the guide on the side. So this is because I don't see myself, you know, you have so many good teachers. I don't know if any of you, I think many of you have seen Chado Rinpoche. Wow, I was so happy to see him, you know, because I haven't seen him for many years, and since I was living in Dharamsala, so we went down and had tea with him, and he's very, very connected to the Israelis. And I have to say, you Israeli group here, I know many groups from different countries, but you're definitely the best when it comes down as a group to follow an advice of like somebody like Chado Rinpoche, when it comes down, like one of you is sick, and then Chadar Rinpoche tells you to do this and this practice, and you get together and you do it immediately. It's other groups, not so much, and I've seen it because we did when Chagit, I don't know if anybody of you know her, David and Chagit, been, the Dharma friends for a long, long time. And it was such a sad story. She had cancer and she was 8 months pregnant, and they didn't discover it that she had cancer until she was 8 months, then, because they thought it was something with the pregnancy. And so they decided the baby has to come out immediately and she has to start chemotherapy. So it was a very, very difficult situation. And Chadar Rinpoche told us to do Medicine Buddha. And it was just before I came to Israel. It was like, at the end of the summer. So I landed, and immediately, people said, can we do Medicine Buddha Puja? Because Chadar Rinpoche has asked us to do. And we got to Honi's house, we put up an altar, and all the people who were at the airport to greet me, they came to Honi's house, and we did this Medicine Buddha Puja together, and I was very, very moved. And then also, it was Yom Kippur. We decided not to do this kind of usual, not so religious, forgiving kind of thing so that everybody can participate. We decided to do a Medicine Buddha retreat. I mean, people, they didn't know what they were doing. Under normal circumstances, I don't think they would have participated happily. But because they knew it was for Chagit and we didn't know anything else that we could do, they did participate. It was about 80 people, I think. And in the breaks, we got together and recited Tsedo, which is a sutra for long life. Yeah, and it's in, it's in Sanskrit. You don't know what you're saying, but you're still saying it. And it was one of the strongest retreats, actually, I had over Yom Kippur, because the group was really together. All of us, we wanted to do something for Chagit because we understood how difficult the situation is for her husband, for the baby. And so the energy, the love, the compassion, the connection during that retreat was very, 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 very strong. So I was very happy to see him, even though it's just on the screen, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, it's happy to see him directly. All right, so let's do some awareness meditation, which was your homework, wasn't it? During the week. I don't know if you did it. It's really worthwhile to do it. So we'll train again for a few minutes. So you try to sit with a straight back. Kind of with a happy mind. Happy again, whatever mind state is there, it is fine. But besides that mind state that is there, kind of going, I'm going to do a good thing. I'm going to meet myself. Because if I want to be happy and I don't know myself and I cannot accept myself the way I am, I mean, how am I going to transform anything? How am I going to be able to develop and live my values, for example? So just with this feeling, not just a thought, but you feel it in your body, kind of, this is a good thing that I'm going to do here. And don't be afraid. Whatever you're going to see is all impermanent, is all you're making, nobody else's fault. And it can all be transformed. And as much as possible, try to develop this confidence that at the bottom, at the basis, we are okay. Yeah, we're pure. At the basis, we have fundamental love, compassion, wisdom. And that's the good news in Buddhism. We don't really have to develop anything. We only have to discover it. We only have to get rid of what covers it, which is our wrong view of a real, independent, inherently existing I or me, which sees itself totally separate from others and cannot see the connection. That's why we are meditating, to recognize that. And because that is a wrong view, it can definitely be eliminated through wisdom. getting to know the things as they are and not as they appear. So for that, we need a mind that is pretty stable and that is able to look without being distracted. So first, put your awareness on your body is always the first object of mindfulness, awareness. We can know the body all the time, and the body is always in the present. And you can maybe say, small thank you to your body also. The body that carries you wherever the mind wants to go. Because we have a body through our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, senses, we can experience a lot of pleasures. Because of our brain, we can figure things out because of the human cortex. We can understand, we can reason. Because of the stomach, the liver, and the kidneys, we can digest. You see, we carry these things around with us every second of our life. How many times do you think about your liver, your stomach, your kidneys, your intestines? And how many times are you grateful that they work, if they work? That's also a very soothing thing to do. Send a smile to those organs, the heart, tirelessly beating. You can even put your hand there. Say thank you, or put your hand on your stomach or your belly. Your teeth, they can bite and chew, your tongue. We have a body that works more or less. I mean, how wonderful. Then we want part of the mind with your awareness, you notice what's going on. I mean, this is awareness. That's what it's all about. We develop awareness not to be lost in thought so that we know what's going on directly. And then to make the mind. So what we did, these being grateful and all this, it totally relaxes the mind and the body immediately. You might have noticed. So when the mind is relaxed, we try to make it stable. We give it an object that it can hold, not too tight and not too loose. And a good object is the breath. Very simple. Breathing in, you know that you're breathing in. Breathing out, you know that you're breathing out without any opinion, without any judging. And you choose, or you give yourself the freedom for once not to follow your thoughts and not to make stories. So I'll let you do that for 5 minutes. Whenever you feel the mind is moving away, just very gently bring it back. Actually, the moment you feel that the mind is not on your breath, it is already back on the breath. And that's the success. Knowing that the mind is again lost in thoughts. Don't get frustrated. Don't get angry. If you get bored, it doesn't matter. Nobody says you have to be entertained and joyful while we're doing this. We allow the mind to become stable, and then it will become clear. And so now the mind being fairly stable, just ask yourself, how am I? How do you feel? Not manipulating anything, just looking with that awareness, observing your mind state, and see what is happening. Again, nothing needs to happen. Don't try to do something. Don't try to change something. Don't even try to better yourself or something like that, you know. Sometimes this can be quite violent. We can be quite violent towards ourselves, always wanting to be better. Just accepting the way we are. We relax. We give more space. We are more open. We can develop compassion if we're not so well, and so on. Thank you. So if you can, if you're sitting at the computer, and if you'd like to, would you like to, or could you write in the chat how you feel? So I see what's going on a little bit. Unfortunately, we can't do it anonymously in the chat because it says your name, but you can rename yourself if you want. If possible in English, otherwise Tom or Tommy will have to translate. Because you see, sometimes we think we are looking and we're noticing, but then we don't. So it's like, a bit sad and tired. That's Tom. Yeah, okay. Sadness is something that we usually try to avoid, but actually sadness can be quite a good mind state because it shows us that we have to look deeper, closer. Hey, what's going on? So not just, run away from it and do something more joyful. So, of course, there's different causes for sadness. Somebody has died, some are disappointed, or somebody has no success or whatever. Okay. Simple, nice. Simple is the best. There's this very nice book from, I think it was the first Buddhist book I read from Ayakima, being nobody, going nowhere, and more relaxed, less worried. Thank you. Nice. But also any other thing is also somewhat annoyed. Yeah. Sorry if I'm the cause. Yeah, it's not my intention. Tired and stressful. Yeah, tired and stressful. So we'll try to have an easy session, okay, for the tired people, to make it a bit. I'll tell you a few stories about, praise and blame and arrogance and all this, my stuff. So then you can laugh at me and then maybe we can share. I feel better than before. I have seen a trauma memory, so I feel more compassion towards myself. Yeah. Yeah, wow. this is it, you know. So many things happen to us. It's like, and then of course it gets stored somewhere and we don't know what to do with it and we can't accept it. But awareness is really training in awareness, but not with the trauma, of course, but training in awareness just with your breath to make the mind stable so that we can look at it is really, really helpful. It's necessary in these cases because, you know, when they talk about self-compassion, the first step is always having somewhat kind of a level of awareness to be able to see what's going on without getting involved. And then you can develop self-compassion, only then. Otherwise, it goes into self-pity. Yeah, so the first step is always awareness, then to look what is going on, asking yourself, what would I need or what is lacking? And when we ask ourselves very, very clearly what is lacking, all of a sudden we come up with all these stupid things. And then when we kind of go deeper, we go, that's not true, you know. But we believe it. When we don't look at it, we believe it. I am not happy because nobody loves me, or because I have a big nose, or a few kilos too much, or a few kilos not enough, or, you know, all of these kind of things. And we totally believe it. So the awareness, and then the shared humanity, you know, opening up our heart and just thinking, just this one thought, I'm not the only one. It's so simple and it's so helpful, because otherwise the trauma gets like really big. But I'm not saying, you know, be careful, don't make trauma smaller. Yeah, this is another thing, you know, don't use Dharma reasoning just to patch it up or to, you know, to put some gloss over it. Oh yeah, it's my karma. Oh, yeah, well, it's all empty, and who, you know, there is no I who feels pain. This is very, very unhealthy. It's very unhealthy, and it's not going to make you heal. You know, this is what we can apply when we really understand what we're saying, and not just to make us feel better. Very often people use that karma thing just to make themselves feel better, you know, because they can't deal with the pain. When they talk about dukkha, when they talk about suffering, we have to learn to transcend it, not to run away from it, to experience it, to live it, so that then we can develop renunciation. But then again, you know, what is necessary is our belief, our trust in our own goodness, in our capability to overcome everything. And then it's good to look at, for example, you know, you have such incredible, inspiring examples of people who have been in the Holocaust and who, you know, who went through this in such an amazing way. Last night, I was with the class we had here, I was talking about the death of my teacher, that he was diagnosed with liver cancer when he was in Israel, and his last teaching, and then how he finally went towards his death. I mean, it's so inspiring. So I have no illusion. People who have gone through trauma and torture, and, you know, also the Tibetans. Can you still hear me? Because it says my internet connection is not so good. We had the problems with the internet today, so I might disappear at one point. Then you have the evening off, which will be quite nice. Anyway, I suggested it. You didn't want to accept it last Wednesday. So I have no illusion that I will be able to do this, but just to inspired. Or this friend of mine, which is Elea, probably none of you know her if you haven't been to India many times, which has polyarthritis, you know, can hardly move. Now she can hardly talk. But she has been, you know, when we look at her and you look at her still going to India, still practicing, still trying to be helpful to others, still doing French translations. I mean, it's like, oh, yeah. Then again, this can also be a trap. You know, you look at her, then you feel guilty that you are complaining. Again, the ego has won the game, yours, yeah? Because that's why, you know, this seemingly self-existent I, it does whatever it can do so that we don't recognize that it doesn't exist. It's like a naughty child. Yeah, so it's really, really battling not to be recognized because it's frightening. it's frightening to think that we don't have a really, truly self-existent self or I or me, because we don't know what am I going to be then? Yeah, because we throw out too much. Yeah, we forget the conventional I that we have, the conventional self. We only think like, oh, what's it going to be? So we kind of nobody is simple. And we don't recognize how good it would be if we were simple and a nobody. So this is where I started again. I kind of made a loop. The first book I read by Ayakima, Being Nobody, Going Nowhere. And I found this so, I don't have, we struggle to be somebody, isn't it? We want to be good, want to be recognized. This is the verses we come to now, because then we think, then finally I will be happy. Yeah. It's not true. People have nothing to lose. Those are the simple ones, Like also some stories in Root Institute. We used to have a fashion designer who came, very famous one. Root Institute is in Bodhgaya, is a Buddhist center, who came every year. She was a Buddhist, and to visit the stupa and to do some practices like this. She was very famous, and I have to say, I won't tell you who she was, but she was very famous. She was also very arrogant because she was so famous, right? I think, also people who are not so famous, they're usually not so terribly arrogant. And so, she wrote to us, I want the best room and this and that. So we kind of, we really gave her the best little hut. It wasn't even just a room, a hut with toilet and shower. And so she came and she said, what? You call this your best room? And she was so unhappy. So we didn't know what to do. So then the following years, we always gave her a not so good room so that she could complain. And then we would give her a better.
נגמר לנו האינטרנט.
Are you still there? Yeah.
Yes, but we missed the last half a minute, I think, of your talk. Anila.
Yeah.
Maybe if you turn, I mean, it's a bit of a shame, but maybe you can turn off your camera and then it won't load so much on the internet bandwidth of where you are, because transmitting the picture with the voice can be a bit too much maybe for your internet.
לא חושבת שהיא שומעה אותך. היא נעלמה.
You were gone, now you're back. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
And what did you hear my suggestion?
Yeah, that I turn off the camera, I did.
All right, so
Can you see? You can see the Longku logo.
yes.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, we'll try again. Yeah, so this is what we did, we knew it, and nobody was making fun of her, this fashion designer, and nobody was getting angry at her. We saw how much she suffered when people didn't recognize who she was, and people weren't like affirming to her how wonderful she is by giving her the best things. But the best things were kind of never good enough anyway, because that's not really what gives you satisfaction and what gives you happiness, right? And so at one point also somebody quite famous Buddhist writer came to Tushita. Tushita is the center in Dharamsala, and we had a lot. We had like really a lot to do, and so the director was quite exhausted. So because she has a lot of responsibility, so we told her to go to a hotel, a little bit further down, and to really relax 2 days. And we said, nobody will want to tell anybody where you are. So this lady came and she said hello, and she said, I want to see the director. And I said, well, she's not here. And so she said, what do you mean she's not here? Of course she's here. She's in Dharamsala. I said, no, she's really tired, and we kind of sent her away. And so she said, but I want to see her. And I said, no, I will not tell you where she is. And she said, don't you know who I am? And I said, no, sorry, I don't. She told me her name. And quite honestly, now you can't see my face. Quite honestly, my jaw dropped because she is very famous, but I didn't recognize her. So, and then, what happened? Because of her behavior, I had never read a book of her, but because of her behavior, I had absolutely no wish to read a book of her. So again, this whole thing. So let's look maybe at the text. And as I'm saying, if you want to say something, or if you want to tell your story, I have more about fame, fame and praise and all these kind of things, then we can do. So we can, as you are, some of you are very tired and stressed, we can make this a little bit pleasant here. Just chatting away a bit, if the Swiss internet is allowing us. Okay. So here, the last verse was about the hook cast by the fishermen of disturbing conception. So the homework was that we recognize our disturbing conceptions, and just by being aware of them and recognizing them, we actually have some help, that we are not biting the hook every time we follow it and we create more negative karma. Now, verse 90 to about 100 is all about praise, and praise and fame. So it all turns around what is called the 8 worldly dharmas, or what in general we think will make us happy, and what in general we struggle to get these things. So the first verse here is, the honor of praise and fame will not turn into merit nor life. It will give me neither strength nor freedom from sickness, and will not provide any physical happiness. Now, of course, Shantideva is not saying that nobody should praise you and you shouldn't accept praise, and praise does not help and is no good, or fame or whatever. It's not about this. It's about that we give these things too much importance. Yeah. As I said at the beginning, in general, we kind of think, I'm not happy because this and this and this. And when we look, what we are concerned about, and when we hear about what these 8 worldly concerns are, if we are honest, then we have to say, yeah, I am interested in these things. Or also, like, a happy life. Kind of, it has to lead a happy life. We sometimes, I call this, we create these pillars and we try to build them up so that we have a guarantee that we will be happy. Now I need your help. What are these pillars? It's not the 8 worldly concerns. Yeah, it's like forget about dharma and forget about these 8 worldly concerns. It's like, what are we most concerned about? Because we want to have a happy life. We want to have some security, which of course we cannot, but we would like to. We try to arrange. So, what are we putting effort into in order to have a happy life? You can either open your microphone or you can put it in the chat.
Health, possessions, reputation.
Yeah.
Also our healthy body.
Yeah, I think Giti said health was the first thing, right?
Yeah.
The health, when I ask people this, it's interesting to see. Health always comes first. That's what people mention first. I mean, how many times, this is why we did the meditation today in that direction, family, yes. Family, yeah, family is very important for some people. For me, it's not, funny enough. I always felt that I didn't belong to that family, so I didn't want to have too much to do with them. There was not much suffering. We didn't hurt each other. We were just not young friends. We're just not concerned too much about others. You know, we were so different in our, you know, my brother, my parents. Anyway, so health is always mentioned the first place. But how many times do you rejoice that you have a healthy body? You know, we think this is the cause for happiness, but how many times do we just go and say, oh, wow, I'm so healthy? How many times? Question to you, how many times? So much reproducing, yeah, reproducing, it's a good one. Huh?
But maybe if we are,
I'm asking a question, Gidi. How many times?
Sometimes I do, but then I try to be not attached to the feeling of being too healthy.
Okay, you think it's...
But it doesn't mean I don't.
But I'm not talking about attachment. I'm just talking about this spontaneous thought that could arise by just, you know, for example, you can't pay your bills, but because health is more important, you go, hey, but I'm happy. Or let's say your partner has left you, but because we put health at first place, we go like, hey, but I'm happy.
Not enough, I can certainly
How
say.
many times?
Not very often.
Not very often. This is what I wanted to hear. You see, we have to be honest here. So, but we put a lot of, you know, the thought, the idea is, I'm not happy because I'm not healthy. And then, of course, you're not happy because you're not healthy. But then the problem is you're also not happy when you are healthy. So your ill health cannot just be the only reason for your unhappiness. Do you see what I'm trying to get at? Yeah. So it's like now, you know, I'm making gestures here, but you can't see me. It's really funny. So it's like we are building up these pillars, and we think, you know, we think that when all of them are intact, that, okay, you know, I have friends, I have family, I have financial security, I am not too sick, I'm more or less healthy. And we think, okay, one of these pillars can collapse. And I still have all the others, but the problem is they won't work. These other pillars don't work anymore when just one of them collapses. And you know that if you have, you know, if you are, I don't know, if you're sick, like seriously sick, and somebody comes, yeah, but you know, what do you have a very nice family, and you have no financial problems. So why are you worried? What would you think about such a person? Would you say, oh, wow, thank you very much for reminding me, I totally forgot? Would you be like this? I think we would find this person is pretty heartless to remind us of what we usually think will make us happy, isn't it? We would even get angry at that person, yeah? And so a lot of our efforts go into building up these things. And then when we come to the 8 worldly concerns, I don't know if anybody has heard about them. So we could try to patch them together if you have heard about these 8 worldly interests, concerns. In Buddhist terms, they're called 8 worldly dharmas. You can either put it in the chat or you can say.
There are 4 couples of the things that we wish to gain and we wish to be avoided.
Right.
So we wish to have fame and to avoid bad reputation, we wish to have, I don't remember all of them.
Yeah, just try. Whatever you know is good enough. What else? Anybody else?
Being poor and being rich. I mean, we want to be
Well,
rich.
yeah, it's called gain and loss.
Gain and loss.
We're very happy when we gain something. And you see, we're not even aware that when we gain something, most probably somebody else loses something because we gained something. Yeah.
Then praise and blame, I think.
Criticism and praise, exactly. And
what else?
Comfort
I'm
and
not sure. I mean, it would make sense, health and sickness, but I'm not sure it's in the eight.
It's well, you know, it's called. It can be like this, you know, health and sickness, or comfort and pain.
Yeah, pleasure.
Comfort and pain.
Or yeah, or comfort and pain, or pleasure and pain. Comfort, pleasure, and pain. So
and then fame and something, no?
Yeah, pain, pleasure and pain, or comfort and pain.
And then the last one is about fame, I think.
Yeah, fame. This is what Tom said at the beginning, having a good reputation or being known. Yeah, fame and being unknown. Yeah, or having good reputation, bad reputation. So of course, you know, I suppose most of us, we don't want to be famous, we think, but still, you know, we don't want a bad reputation. We don't want to be ignored, isn't it? So now, but what they now came up with neuroscience and, you know, the Buddhist neuroscience and with neuroscience, that what actually makes a stable, happy life is first good connections. So good, you know, we usually go, I am not happy because nobody loves me. And we totally forget we could love people even though they don't like us. We just don't go near them, but we still wish them well. So when we talk about love in Buddhist terms, we mean an open heart that is happy when somebody else is happy. Yeah, that is love. And then you're happy, then you are okay. And good connections we only create when we respect people, when we hear them, when we see them, when we can also accept that they have different views and or that they have a right to change their views. You know, I don't know if it has ever happened to us. You drink your coffee always in the same way, kind of black with nothing, and all of a sudden, you know, you go and see a friend and the friend says, you want the coffee? You say yes. And then she says black without anything. And you say, oh, can I have sugar? And then they even go, oh, but you never take sugar. You know, that you're not even allowed to change that habit, that maybe one day you would like to have some sugar in your coffee. Is like, yeah, it's a bit exaggerated example, but maybe you can see what I'm saying, you know. So so connection kind of, we have to work at good connections. It's really a give and take, yeah. And we have to be forgiving, and sometimes we have to be understanding also that, you know, people are not always in a good mood. We have a lot of the people that we call friends. If you look deeply, closely, do they know that you view them as your friends? Are they sure about this? Have you made a contract? Have you signed something? You are now my friend. Because, you know, sometimes people present me to somebody else and say, this is Losang, my friend. And I go, oh, I didn't know. Because you know, the moment, again, in worldly terms, not in Dharma terms, but the moment our mind labels somebody, this is my friend, we put that friend under a lot of pressure. They have to agree with what I'm saying. They have to like me. When I need them, they have to be there. And if they don't do this, we get hurt and we are disappointed. And this we only discover when we, with awareness, when we really, really look deep inside, when we are, when your emotions, your feelings towards a person that you think that this is your friend changes, or when your friend does not fulfill your expectations. Expectations we only notice when they are not being fulfilled. Otherwise, we don't notice them. So we can change this. We can change and make good connections, kind of, I want you to be well. Whatever you do to me is fine. You help me, I'd be very happy. You don't feel like helping me, it's fine. Because I'm also not available 24 hours every day for my friends, isn't it? Yeah. So this is what makes good connections. What else makes good connections? Again, I think we talked about needs. Was it with your group? I talked when we get angry. Yeah, the first step is always communication. Yeah, good communication, okay? It's like, yeah, actually not so much, I think. You know what makes really good friends? Listening. Listening makes really good communication. But we're not very good at this either. I am not very good, I have to say. I always have to kind of bring in my opinion and all this. So sometimes I'm aware of it. But listening really that makes good connections. Also saying something, but most of the time is actually the listening. Yeah. So about, when you get angry and you look, which of my needs did not get fulfilled? My need for being, okay, again, I would like to include you here a little bit, because otherwise there's no communication. Otherwise, you're the good listeners and you're the good people and I'm the talker, and not much point. Okay. What needs do we have from others? You can put it in the chat or say. If you're tired, you can say that she leaves me alone when I'm tired and is not asking me questions. Understanding. Okay. Difficult, isn't it? You see, already that. Was it Tom who said understanding? I mean, how can somebody else really understand us? How? They cannot go inside our mind. It's difficult, when we need understanding from them. Yeah, but yeah, it is one of the needs, understanding. I need to know that. Oh no! Oh, you're very quick now. Family and friends, but communication, understanding, compassion. Yeah, but again, it's like we can give it, but then can we demand it? Being listened to, compassion, yeah. And this one is in Hebrew. I cannot read from Hila. Can somebody translate for me what Hila is writing?
Consideration.
Consideration. Yeah, I need to know that you are okay.
And judgment.
Yeah, okay. Hila, being considerate. So you see, when we come being seen, yes, when we come with our very good intentions, when somebody complains about something, and we come with our very good intentions and give them good advice what they should do, is that understanding? Is that consideration? Is that being respected? Is that being heard and seen? Yes, you think?
Yes.
Okay. I usually, when I say something, I have this and this, people always want to help me, but I know I'm too lazy to do it. So I stopped saying, when something was wrong with me, I stopped saying it, because people were giving me, so much advice that I felt that I didn't ask for advice. People ask me, how are you? And then I say, oh, I have this and this and this if something was wrong. But I didn't ask them to help me. I didn't ask for advice, but it just comes like very readily. Have you ever felt disturbed by this? Or am I the only one?
Sure.
People only always knowing better what's good for you. Is this understanding? Is this compassion? You know, we don't even ask, would you like my advice? We just throw it at them. Isn't it?
Especially with my mother.
Yeah, right. So are you doing the same thing to your children, Tommy?
Oh, I hope not. I really
Ask
hope
them.
not. I try not to.
Okay, so ask them, ask them and tell them, look, if you ever feel that I'm giving you too much advice, just tell me, Mom, thank you, just stop. It's fine. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, and then you see the communication then becomes really good. If you are consciously opening yourself to that advice, then you don't feel disrespected when they just throw it at you because you're opening yourself up to that. Yeah, I mean, human relationship is incredibly complicated, I tell you. Yeah, and why is it so complicated? I think because we all come from our own point of view. Yeah, now that other people fulfill our needs, and if we put our being happy or unhappy on that, that they should fulfill my needs and then I'm happy because that's what we're doing. I'm not happy because they don't fulfill my needs. So that's very dangerous, because how can you expect from people to fulfill your needs? But what you can do, you can turn it around, and this is pretty universal, these needs. Yeah, most of them. And so you know what your needs are, and you can try to fulfill the needs of other people. And then watch what's happening. Mr. Fix-It, yeah, or Mrs. Fix-It, right. Yeah, you see, and then also it's very interesting to see with awareness, it is very interesting to see how much of this advice that I'm giving to my friends am I applying to myself. Just this very simple advice that is always the first one that we give to our friends when they don't feel so well. And it's a good advice, but we should not give it to others. We should only give it to ourselves. When we're not feeling so well, and then we go, when somebody says, I'm not feeling so well. So first is, yeah, like you say, what's wrong? And then we listen, and then what do we say? What do you say? Not what do we say, what do you say? Shall I try to turn on the camera again? See what happens? What do we usually say? What do you usually say? When we can't help, when we don't have a specific advice to give.
It will be fine. Things will change. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
exactly. Don't worry. It's true, it's totally true. Because if you worry, it makes it worse. So it's good advice. That is true. It will pass. Also true. Because when we know that, we become more patient, we relax, we open up. But again, how many times do we apply that advice to ourselves? Never. Because if we would apply it to ourselves, then we would see this doesn't work as it should work. Yeah. We become very clever and very intelligent when it comes down to other people's problems, because we have the right distance, because they're out there. Whereas my problem is here. So it's very big. It's much bigger than the one out there. And the one out there, I can see the whole of it. And I can even kind of turn it around and look at it from all sides, which here, I only see one side. This is bad for me. That's the one here, that's the view. Or like here, put it underneath my bum. I don't want to see it. Yeah, so we have these two things with us, either too close, too big, or ignoring it. I don't want to see it. What about when we feel we can't give our beloved one what they need from us? Like what? Children. Yeah. If your mom wants children and you don't want any, then you just, yeah, you just have to talk to her. So you see, the thing is also, whether they can receive it or not, it doesn't really matter, because I'm talking about mind states here. You're not talking about material things. And some people are just, how to say, habitually unhappy. I don't know if there's a hormone, kind of lacking in their makeup or something like that. Whatever you're trying to do, you can just not make them happy. Yeah. So we should definitely try, but we're not God, we're not the Buddha. So not even the Buddha could make everybody happy. See, the Buddha had people who hated him. The Buddha had people around him. His cousin Devadatta was very angry at him, tried to boycott him and all this. So if the Buddha cannot, I mean, how can we? Yeah. But again, this question here, I don't know from whom it came. Nina Starr. We're not Mr. Fix-It. We cannot make everybody happy. So don't put that pressure on you. You can try, but then, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. Because you see, if you want to fulfill the needs of your loved ones, now again, just to show you how complicated this is, if you want to fulfill their needs, again, you put pressure on them that it has to work. They should be happy about your efforts. It's another expectation that we have. Oh, I invest so much time and invest so much, I give them so much and I really want to fulfill their needs. They don't even accept it. So then again, we have a subtle kind of disappointment or anger or something like this. So anyway, good connection. And when the connection gets really difficult, I think a good step is to take a break from the connection. When you feel that things are stuck, don't try to force to open things if you notice that the other one doesn't want to. Give them the space. What do you think about that one? Have you ever had somebody that you have this, you don't know where it comes from? Because sometimes we have these vibes between ourselves that we just don't like somebody. What to do? I mean, it's like, am I the only one who has this? Or do you know what I'm talking about? You don't want it, you don't enjoy it, you haven't planned it. It just happens that somebody just gets on your nerves. There are some rare people who don't have it. So I tell you, if you don't have it, be very happy. Yeah, because it's such a drag. This is such a burden for the person who has the aversion. Yeah. So if, let's say, you have aversion for somebody, but this somebody likes you and they want you to like them, and you're trying and you're trying and you're trying to be kind, you're trying to be nice, you're trying to fulfill the needs of this person, but the heart just does not open. I mean, if it never happens to you, then I tell you, really, that's fantastic. It's so much suffering. But then you feel that finally this person, without anger, without talking badly about you, they leave you alone. How would you feel towards that person? I don't know if you understood what I said,
Sometimes you get used to the attention.
Huh?
Sometimes you get used to the attention and then you're not really feeling relieved. I mean, it's a mixture.
But let's say, the person is really running after you with wanting to give you things and helping you and be kind to you and be nice to you.
And then they disappear.
And she still kind of gets on your nerves. You just cannot accept it gracefully. I feel like an idiot when it happens to me, really. I want to be joyful when these people, it hasn't happened since a long time. So I hope nobody turns up like this. But I cannot in a relaxed way accept what they are giving me. So then I feel that they lose interest in me. Oh, I tell you, I'm so relieved. Because why? Because I'm not hurting them anymore. So actually, if you, in a good connection also, I think it is good if we give other people the space to breathe when we see that they don't like me. It's okay, you know? It's okay for somebody not to like you. Because if you know, it can become very, very, very stuck. If we are forcefully kind of trying to be nice in this. It can also be, yeah, relieved, exactly. It can also be, you know, it can really make it worse, and it can get big until you get so angry that then you kind of chase the person away, and then they get hurt. Yeah. But when we this whole thing about connection and understanding, if we understand the person doesn't like me, so I will leave her alone. It's okay. And you don't feel bad about this, then you leave the door open because these energies can change. We all know. We all have people in our lives that we didn't like, and then we got to know them, and you know, and all of a sudden it was okay. All of a sudden the closed heart, boom, opened up, and that was it. Then you go like, oh, you know, what was the big fuss about before? Do you know what I'm talking about? I mean, this is daily life. Yeah. And we can't, you know, as long as we have an I, me, ego that likes and dislikes, this will be that's it. This will accompany us like for a long time. And of course, we do equanimity meditation, and we try to open up the heart. And it's good. It's good to do this in the meditation with somebody that you dislike before you face the person, until you feel already that, oh, in the meditation, the heart starts to soften. It starts to open up. But then, you know, be careful. That doesn't mean that it works in daily life. If you see that, you know, the moment you hear the person, you see it closes up again, you come back to your cushion and you do this equanimity meditation, trying to open up your heart. First, opening up your heart towards a person that you like, to experience the open heart, so that you so that you have the just a sec, so that you have the interest, you know, that you feel how you can feel towards a person, but then not forcing yourself, but then to see, which is very difficult, the advantage or the good sides of that person, or the disadvantage of having the closed heart. You know, there's so many things you can do in that way. Yes, Michal.
When I dislike a person and I don't find out the reason,
yeah,
usually I feel very, very guilty.
Yeah.
And also I'm worried of him getting offended by me.
Yeah.
And also I think there is something wrong in me.
Yeah.
And then I have the dilemma how to behave, because when I dislike somebody, I cannot really behave spontaneously.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
so you see, Michal, this is why I'm sharing these things. So one thing we see, you're not the only one. I think we all know what we're talking about, you know, and this makes it so much less heavy and less guilty, because with the guilt, you know, all of a sudden the guilt turns around, and the guilty feeling is very unpleasant. And then you give this other person the cause for you having this kind of guilty feeling. But it's like, yeah, it's complicated. It's very complicated. So this is what I'm saying. As much as you can, keep away from these people, if you can, of course. If you have to have contact with them, you cannot be spontaneous, much better, because otherwise you would actually get angry at them. So it's good that you're not spontaneous. Be careful what you're saying. And slowly, because you see, the dislike mind obsessively is looking for the negative sides of that person. So you have a good reason to dislike the person. Yeah. And then you cling to this, and you're kind of happy that you found something, and I am right. Or we go and find other people who dislike the person. Yeah. And then we reaffirm to ourselves the negative sides of the person. Now, again, it doesn't mean that if somebody is really creating damage to somebody or in a group, that you should not talk to another person about this. But when you talk to another person about this, it should be to help the person to stop creating damage or to better the situation. It is important to talk about these things. Don't bottle them up. Yeah, especially if it's in a group. But when you discuss the person who is creating the damage or whatever, discuss it, try to discuss it with an attitude, not just the pleasure to pointing out the negativities of that person, because it is pleasant, yeah, if we're honest, but with an attitude of how can we help the situation so that we can all be open and harmonious. And, you know, if you work in a group, these kinds of feelings, they're so difficult. It takes so much energy and time, and it's so useless. Yeah. Whereas you work in a group where people are, you know, as you say, open, spontaneous, natural with each other. Even cleaning toilets becomes very, very pleasant. Yeah. But this is part of our life, right? So first thing is get rid of the guilt. You're not the only one, right? And I think we already had this as a homework. I don't know if it's with you or the other group. When you dislike somebody, and then you become jealous of them, of course. Yeah, also when they are doing good things or they get praise and things like that. If you dislike somebody, try to mention a realistic good thing that they're doing to them. If it's too difficult, at least repeat it. Yeah, he or she, this they did really well, until you feel your heart softening. Because when we start to see the good sides without aversion, then the heart opens and we're happy. And make sure that when you have to face the person or when you answer the telephone, you are in a good state. If you're not in a good state, don't answer the telephone. Again, out of consideration for the other person, so that you're not hurting the other person.
It's connected, of course, with awareness.
I tell you, awareness, you cannot do anything without awareness. You cannot do any mind transformation without awareness. You cannot really develop love without awareness. Really knowing, directly experiencing what's going on in you, right? And this is why we train. And it's not selfish, first to train, to know what's going on in us, because we're doing this training in order then to stop harming others and to be of benefit to them. So, connection, appreciation, to appreciate the other person. This is, so like, for example, I told you, here in the center, it's a bit difficult at the moment. This is why it's so easy for me to talk about this, because I'm going through this at the moment. Yeah. So when I have aversion for this person, but then I go like, hey, but it's thanks to them too. Yeah, it's thanks to them that probably this group, when I stop in July, will continue. And I want the group to continue. Okay. So then when I think like this, then I soften up a little bit. Yeah. So it's good to really think about this and to find your own way how you could develop appreciation for this unpleasant person there. What is there that you maybe, don't force yourself, that you maybe could appreciate in the person. Okay? So kindness, and you see, when we appreciate and we are kind, and if it's not possible with this person, then go to another person that you appreciate and can show kindness, because that increases your resilience against your anger. It weakens your anger. If we are constantly surrounded by people that we cannot appreciate, the door to our negative emotions is wide open. Yeah. So this is why sometimes we do the meditation, always first taking a person that we love, we like, then we open up. By opening up, we become much stronger, much more reasonable. It's easier to deal with these negative emotions without guilt, just by seeing them. So a happy life, good connections with others, that is like the key. And it doesn't have to be everybody also, you know? I mean, I'm not the Dalai Lama. Of course, with the Dalai Lama, you feel, oh, he loves everybody. My teacher, whoever came into his presence, he was just loving them spontaneously. I don't have the illusion that I can do this, but I'm trying and I'm working on it. And then I see that there's, with 30 years of practice, okay, there's less and less people who push my buttons, but there still are. So then, as you just said, the next one for a happy life is awareness. And awareness, not what's going on outside, because our mind is constantly outside, trying to see what's going on, but awareness to notice our thoughts. And so we gain more inner stability because we recognize, hey, it's just a thought, you know, you don't have to take it, you don't have to believe it, you don't have to take it seriously. With awareness comes insight. And we start to understand how thoughts and emotion influence the way we see the world and influences the way we see the people. Because when we look at this, am I allowed to say asshole here on this channel? Oh, maybe
Feel
not.
free.
Feel free, I don't know. Okay, so when our mind labels asshole onto this person, yeah, and we try to think, yeah, but some people like this person. So it cannot be, because I know the people who like this person, and they're not stupidos, they're not assholes, I actually like them. So there must be something in this person that I cannot see, yeah? And when we start to understand that, the more we take care of ourselves, and the more we really look that we are not in such a bad state with awareness, because with awareness, you weaken your negative states of mind automatically, if you have enough patience just to look at them. So when we start to understand this, we're less judging. We have more compassion for ourselves, that now we're in a bad state also, and we're not judging, and we're not kind of, feeling guilty and all this. But we don't believe these thoughts anymore. And so again, it loses, the whole thing starts to loosen up. And sometimes I think when I label sometimes somebody as an asshole, I don't think so strongly anymore. I mean, this is really memory. Then I think like, oi, this could be my teacher who is coming to check where I am with my practice of, loving kindness and patience and tolerance and these kinds of things. This is just a test. This is just a trial. This is not serious. This is not a serious asshole out there. This asshole is just for me to see, or my teacher to see, how serious I am in my practice of wanting to transform my negative emotions. Not to see the progress. Again, don't have to, please don't think that you have to make progress. You just have to try to do it. You just have to keep up the interest in transforming your negative emotions, and then to do the antidotes and things like that, yeah? And then these challenges turn into opportunities. And whenever I just, what I'm with awareness, what I'm watching now, what is happening to me, whenever I say this to you guys, that, this challenging person is turning into an opportunity, I get all excited, and I think, yeah, tomorrow when she calls, the opportunity, tomorrow she calls, boom, back to challenge again, it's not the opportunity. So it's like, so it's good to see, that this is where we see that the split between theory and practice. In the theory, you know, when the person is not present, we go, oh, like, wow, yes, so good to have them in my life. They turn up, both, you know, back to challenge. But, you know, then again, you see it, and again, you study the theory, and you get the feeling of, yeah, it is a challenge. It is an opportunity. You know, it's challenging. So we have to see it's difficult. This is what we have to admit. Don't make it too easy, you know, with bodhicitta and all this. Bodhicitta is wonderful, but bodhicitta is difficult, yeah? Because bodhicitta is like everybody. Now, what Geshe Tashi said last Sunday, which I really liked, and he said like, no, bodhicitta is very easy because you don't have to make a choice to whom you are kind. And I thought, wow, you know, these masters, they have this kind of ability to really, like Shantideva, to show us every angle, and then one angle might finally work. And I thought, like, yeah, that's true. You know, it's difficult to develop, but I cannot develop as long as I make a choice, whom I like and whom I dislike. But if I would see that it's so much simpler if I stop liking and disliking, then it's not difficult. Yeah.
Anila.
So like this. So then, you know, as much as possible, when the challenge turns up, try to remember that we said in theory that it's an opportunity. I just tell you the third one, the fourth one, because they have 4 of these kind of pillars to make a happy life. Purpose. Purpose in your life helps to see the bigger picture. Why am I actually here? Now, again, just briefly back to the 8 worldly concerns. You know, am I here to have a good reputation and not to get a bad reputation? I am here to have gain and not to have loss. I am me, a nun. I am a nun in order to get a lot of praise and not to get criticism. Am I, you know, being a nun because of this? Then I go, no, you are a nun because you want to rid yourself of being under the control of your negative emotions. That is the purpose of my practice. But I have to remind myself from time to time. So then we see the bigger picture, and we kind of stay with our motivation, and it helps to keep our values, the purpose. So of course, if your purpose is just to have financial security, as much pleasure as possible, this and that, and then, you know, but try to see people, try to live with people if you can, who are famous, who have total financial security, who have more or less healthy body, and try to see if they're always happy. They're not always happy. Especially if they're not getting recognized. Yeah, somebody wants to say something, please do.
Yes, I got a question here on the chat.
Okay.
What if it is exactly the opposite? Everyone thinks bad of a person you know.
What is that? I didn't understand.
What if it is exactly the opposite? Everybody thinks bad of a person you know.
The opposite of what?
The opposite of everybody is praising somebody you dislike.
Your sound is a bit unclear. I don't. Can you write it in the chat, and then I answer the other 2 things that are in the chat?
Okay.
Because I don't quite understand. I'm too stupid to understand what you are asking. I'm sorry. I found that practicing on liking my dog, which is a bit of a pain, helped me develop the ability which I later applied to people. Yes, exactly. This is what I mean. You know, do it with neutral people. People, you know, objects that are not so difficult. Yeah, that's a very good method. Whenever he made me angry or annoyed, I would look at him and tell myself he is so little and sweet and innocent, and he doesn't know better. You see, this is another thing. In order not to get angry at people, they don't have a choice. They cannot be otherwise. We would like them to be otherwise, but they cannot. You know, I would like to be other than what I am, and I'm a spiritual practitioner, and I'm a nun practicing 30 years. What about this asshole who doesn't do any spiritual practices, who is not even aware what he's doing? What's the chance that he is the way I want him to be? Zero. And another thing, what right do I have wanting him the way I want him? Excuse me, you know, this is pretty arrogant. What if it is exactly the opposite? Everybody thinks bad of a person. You know, what if it is exactly the opposite? The opposite of bodhicitta or what? I mean, I still don't get the sense of this. Everybody thinks bad of a person you know. So what do you think? What do you mean? I should go and tell them that they should think differently about the person? Or I still, even if everybody thinks bad about the person, I should still not agree with them, you know? I mean, what one is trying to do, oh, we have to finish. What one is trying to do in Buddhism, you separate the action from the person. Yeah, it's not that you make everybody a good person when they are going around and doing a lot of damage, but you say like, what this person is doing is really not good. You know, the actions of the person, but the person would be nice if the person would be a wiser person you know, especially if they have power or whatever, like that. We cannot control other people. You know, I don't know what you expect from me with this question here, what I should say. I don't have enough wisdom. The way I understand it or the way I see it is like, even if everybody thinks bad about this person, imagine if everybody thinks bad about your son, you as a mother or a father. Doesn't matter if the whole world thinks bad about your son or your daughter, you still love them. So this is what we are training. But there are negative actions, definitely, that if you can stop the person, then you should, by all means. Yeah? Okay. Gosh, again, we didn't get very far here. So let's see that verse again and then see what homework I can give you. Okay, here, the honor of praise and fame will not turn into merit nor life. That means we will not really, merit is, in Buddhist terms, merit is what comes from your actions that you have done through a motivation of getting out of samsara and being of benefit to all sentient beings. From that, you get the positive energy, which is called merit. It's not a good word, yeah, but it's like the bonus, or that we talked about, Michal, we talked about this, that you said, oh no, I don't want to do good things, da 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 da. In Mahayana Buddhism, you want to do good things because you want to be of benefit to others. Yeah, the same way, you know, you can go and study to be a good surgeon because you want to become famous and earn a lot of money, or you want to do this because you want to help others. So now I'm not saying that every Mahayana Buddhist has a totally pure motivation to do the positive things just to help others. I'm not saying that, but that is what one wants to do. This is why we talk about merit, and we need merit. We need this positive energy to be able to do what we are doing. Yeah, because otherwise, yeah, it's not much point. So if somebody is praising me, it doesn't increase my merit, because it increases the merit of the person that is praising me, not mine. See, it doesn't give me anything. It doesn't increase my qualities if somebody is praising me. We put so much weight of this praise thing, but it doesn't make me a better person. It doesn't increase my ability to cook. Yeah. And it doesn't increase my lifespan. It doesn't increase my health. So this is what it says here. Yeah. So it's kind of useless for what we want. It will give me neither strength nor freedom from sickness. And it will not provide any physical happiness. Physical. here it says, the fuss of praise, I have a different translation here a little bit. The fuss of praise and fame serves not to increase merit or one's lifespan, bestowing neither of health nor strength, and nothing for the body's ease. You see, if I broke my leg and somebody says, "Ah, but you are so intelligent. You think it's going to ease my pain in my leg?" So here talked, yeah, the physical pain, it doesn't ease the physical pain. It might ease your mental pain, but it doesn't ease your physical pain. Now I understood what the other translation said. Okay, so the homework, my dears, what should it be? Praise and, maybe just when you feel that somebody's praising you, then look, it's okay to be happy when somebody praises you, because you know that the other person is also happy. But that you accept the praise and you say, well, thank you very much, gracefully, that's fine. If you praise others, also very good, be realistic. If the praise does not come, yeah, that's a good one. If the praise does not come, try to feel your urge, asking the other person, how was it? You see, the example I always give, you have cooked for somebody, they are very hungry, they eat it with a lot of gusto, but they don't say anything. Can you resist asking the person, is it good? Do you like it? Okay, so try to resist that urge, asking for praise when you know now. This is for us to become more self-confident. When we know what I did is good, so that we don't need the affirmation from somebody else. If you're not sure that it's good, then it's okay to ask. But very often we know it's good, but we still ask because we need the praise. Is it too complicated, or is that feasible?
No, it's very good, very understood.
Okay. It's an interesting one. So, and then please bring humor into this, because then we see how attached we are to praise and how dependent we are on praise. And then you use Shantideva's verse, yeah? What does this praise give me now? It gives me a good feeling, but does it ease my physical pain? Does it make me lose my kilos, for example, that I gained in the COVID? Does it increase my lifespan? And especially, does it increase my merit when I get attached to it? Then in order for this praise that you receive to increase your merit, you think, this praise is very beneficial for the person who is praising me, but maybe that gets too complicated. Just try to see the low self-confidence that we have when we know that we did something good, but we need the affirmation from somebody else. And then to reaffirm to ourselves, hey, I did what I could, I wish I could be better, but I'm not. But it's okay, good enough. Even if no big praise coming, it's such a soothing, it's just such a soothing sentence. It's good enough. Because you see, your job is, I have to go, yeah, okay, we finished anyway. Thank you, Nina. So you see, the thing is, the moment we think good enough, we relax, and then we become much better. We're so tense all the time, checking what other people think of us, what they, this is where the problem in the center we have is all about this, everybody think, how do they see me? Well, it's like, it's such a drag. Instead of everybody just doing their job and that's it. Yeah. Good. So you have, I think, something to do next week. Again, take it light. Try to laugh at yourself. I think you can see me when I'm telling you these stories. Then I usually tell them with a laugh because I see how ridiculous I am. Don't get depressed. Don't feel guilty. We're all in the same. And we all suffer because of these views and disattachment to praise and fame and you know, gain and being liked and this and that. So, and it doesn't really give us what we want. What we want is we want a happy life. That will be good connections, like we appreciate others, awareness. This, you don't need anybody else to train awareness. Inside, with awareness, you start to see, you have the courage to look inside, and then purpose. What's the purpose of my life? Every morning, may I be of benefit to somebody? Okay? So we dedicate always the good energy, the merit that we have created together by discussing these things, you know. May whoever hears me, sees me, touches me, thinks about me, talks to me or talks about me, may it only be of benefit to them. This is the purpose of my life. If I can be directly of benefit, wonderful. If not, may I at least not harm them. If I harm them, not on purpose, because we don't do this on purpose, also, may it be of benefit to them, because then their negative karma is exhausting itself. Don't use that as an excuse to harm people, okay? You're not the avenger here, you know, going around hurting people and say, oh, I'm purifying the negative karma, you know, how noble of me. Not like this. But when you start to feel guilty, you know, because you hurt somebody, you go like this, whatever I did to them right now, may it benefit them. Do you see what I mean? Not as an excuse. That, you know, you can use all these methods as an excuse. If you do that, it becomes very, very harmful only to yourself. And this is where we need awareness to be able to see our motivation. And motivation can always be changed. You don't need that much effort to change your motivation. All you have to do is to be aware that your motivation is not that pure. Clear? Okay, so go and have a rest. And I'm sorry if I tired you out even more. Have a good week, and maybe see you next week. And then we do maybe another verse. They all go in the same direction, these verses now, until verse 100. It's all about praise. Oof. So it's quite good. So then maybe next time I'll tell you the stories about when I got praise and it was so ridiculous, the whole thing. Okay, take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Anila.
And be well, and bye-bye.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you for talking to us.
You're so generous, really. I mean, it's like amazing. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.